Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. I'm already co-host.
You
Got
are.
it. All right. All right.
Absolutely thrilled in January when, I mean, it was just coming, the inches, I mean, the inches were just coming off. And we hadn't even started the detox. We were just starting that detox phase, but it was the implementing the good, healthy habits, the better glucose monitoring nutritional plan that I could have. By implementing those, I could not believe that I was now able to put on a pair of jeans that I couldn't wear. I had gone 2 sizes up and I was able to go back into my drawer and pull out old pair of jeans and put them on. It was just really exciting. And then as we were to that point, we were just starting the 90-day detox, where I'm probably 6 weeks into that. And I will share that in January, when I started the detox program, that within a week, I was able to focus. There was no more wake up in the morning. What am I going to do? I'm going to do these 5 things at once. I was very goal driven and I stayed on task and I was able to accomplish so much more. I just was so excited. I think the program you arranged for us was a little bit each week, enlightening us with more information, challenging us with specific commitments each day. And I would learn from the people in the group when we had our coaching sessions. Oh, I'm going to say mini trampoline had been in my shed for 20 years. Oh, this is a great way to get your metabolism going in the morning when you want to do that early morning movement. And I pulled something out of my house, put it in my office, and I could not believe the energy that I felt just jumping on that little trampoline for a couple of minutes in the morning. So it was very easy for me to implement little at a time because it wasn't overwhelming. Each week, we had some new modules we were learning about and new information we were kind of challenging ourselves with. So it made it easy to incorporate the old habits and then start adding another new one. So it was very easy to follow. I didn't feel overwhelmed because it was structured and it was easy to follow. And I'm one of these, I like a challenge. Tell me what to do and I can follow the process. It's me, researching, trying to do this and that. I get a little overwhelmed, but if I have a trusted resource, it's easy for me to just follow the process and see the results. Dr. Rustamova and her team were absolutely amazing. I was so excited to participate with them. And the extensive set of labs, she was just this wealth of information. By the time we got the labs back, I already taken a peek at them, but I saw this was off, this was off. But when I had like first 5-10 minutes of talking with her, she was able to look at the whole comprehensive set and really come up with a summation that made such sense to me. I couldn't even believe it. I have, over the last couple of years, seen many professionals, and it was just overwhelming for me. She hit the nail on the head within the first 10-15 minutes.
We are about to go into day 4, everybody. Listen, we are here gathered today on this beautiful occasion to actually interact with some phenomenal people. And by the way, you are part of that. So we have some amazing opportunities in front of us. And those opportunities are to actually gain a perspective that we may not have come with. It is to gain an understanding that we may not have already had. It is also to be inspired, influenced, and impacted with information that we may not have known about our own situation. We got a treat today. I'm looking forward to this part of it because we have none other than the one, the only. I'm gonna hold off and I'm not gonna tell you yet. Not even gonna tell you. Because if you were paying attention, you know who's coming into this room today. But I do know this. We also have a couple of things that we want to make sure we do. Because, when we have everything going forward and flow and it's moving smooth as we go, we have the ability to experience life at a high level. If you came here to experience life at a high level, I want you to put high level in the chat. And the reason I want you to do this is because we got to interact. If we're going to come here with intentionality, we got to set our intentions on being here to be here, not being here passively. Like, it's cool. I mean, it's all right. No, we want to be here with intentionality because we don't want to waste our time. I don't want you to waste your time. I'm not going to waste your time. And I know that these women that we have here today to actually pour into you, they are not going to waste your time. So we want to make sure that we're here with intentionality. So set your intention to show up. If you're ready to go all in today, type in the chat, all in. And if you're ready to go all in, I got something for you because we're going to make sure that we get this thing going right. In the room together, right? We're here to get yourself. Let's go. And with that being said, oh my. Yeah. So yesterday, fire. I can't even put it in any other words. Like the the fact that Angelina has all of this up here and everything that's in here is evident all over here. I tease, but I kind of feel like she got to spill the beans. Like, I feel like she kind of went on a journey, got to a destination, and couldn't say anything about where she went. But somebody slipped her a cup. I think it was like a goblet or something like that, some fancy cup with jewels, and it was all gold. And she took a sip out of the fountain of youth because the way that she is operating in her appearance as well as in her adherence is something to be taken into consideration. And then we know that it's not the fountain of youth, it's the fountain of you. And what do I mean by that? She's literally helping us to unlock what is inside of you already based off of the information that she has been providing. You're talking about cellular regeneration, y'all. You're talking about the ability to understand what it is that you're already capable of based on the power that you were born with. See, power is the possession of the qualities to do something or get something done. And she is showing us exactly how not only can we do it, but how we can get it done. And one of the best ways to get something done is, can you hear me? Hey, listen, type this in the chat. Leverage. You don't want to do it all by yourself. You can leverage somebody else's information. And the fact that this amazing woman charges 10K, 10K an hour and you get to be here for way less than that, the opportunity for growth is amongst you. And we in the room with people who know what to do. So I want to tell you that the opportunity to grow and take everything in is going to be found in your level of intentionality and willingness to interact. So if you're willing to go all in, you're ready to go all out, you're in the right place in the right space on a Saturday at that. You ready to go out all in? Yes. Holly said, Holly's ready. Oh, Janet's ready. Okay, stay ready to, okay. Yeah, all in, all in. If you're ready to go all in and all out and know what your time is about, the joint opportunity that you have to be in a room with someone that has answers to your questions, opportunity to your mystery, information for your situation, and you can go away from here with application, especially with that amazing offer that she just dropped yesterday. Listen, the person that I'm about to introduce really needs no introduction at this point because at the end of the day, she's the one who brought it all together. The evidence is seen in not only her communication and her information, but also in her composition and her disposition and everything that is in her position. She has the power, the ability, and the skill and the time based on her past to prove to you that you can do it too. Everything that you need, you already have, and she's literally just pulling it out of you. Our amazing host, Angelina Cardash is in the building. Angelina, can you come to the front and let these people know what they are in treat for today?
Thank you, Jared. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Jared. I see some new faces in the room, which is amazing. I see Helen, I see Julia, I see Mr. Herb, I see Martin in the room. Holly, hi, what's up, Holly? What's up, Janet? What are you guys excited about today? It's day 4. Can you believe it? We've made it to day 4. Wow. How many of you guys learned something new in the challenge? Put me in the chat. All right. So on day one, we uncovered your unlimited health potential. We talked about epigenetics. We uncovered powerful principles of growing mindset. In day two, we uncovered the whole thing behind the cellular health, how your body function. It's a beautiful mechanism. How cellular inflammation stands behind all diseases and how you have all the power to heal yourself, fix your gut, get rid of a brain fog, boost your energy, resolve your weight loss plateau just by doing what? Anyone here? Anyone in the room who knows the answer to this question? By fixing your cells, by giving them what they need and to get rid of the waste in your body. How powerful is that, guys? How many of you guys are fascinated to learn about cellular health in order to get well and, so that you can fix your cells? How many of you guys did your homework from yesterday? How many of you guys? Put me in the chat if you did your homework. Put me in the chat. And if you didn't, that's okay, because there is still a time. There is an opportunity. If we're being intentional here, as Jared started this morning, was being intentional for coming here and learning and open your mind and learn something and apply, because application, this is where magical thing happens in your life. It's all in application. So if you didn't have a chance to do your homework, check your emails, go on Facebook, find your homework and do it and ask us questions. We're here to help you and support you all the week. All right. So how many of you guys are excited for today? Because today I am bringing a special guest who is going to uncover with you the power of holistic, tailored medicine. All right. Jared, can we give a proper introduction to our special guest?
Oh, absolutely. Listen. So our special guest is the celebrated founder of Power of Health and Wellness Central Park Medical Practice. Try saying that 10 times fast. She started her career in a different spotlight. However, along the way, she is oh my goodness, you would think she was an individual who obtained medals of honor by the way that I'm looking at everything that she has accomplished. You're talking about being recognized by the International Association of Top Professionals and awarded for her top executive contributions. Talking about a major philanthropist and humanitarian. Oh my goodness, we're talking about somebody who was at the heart of New York City and turned her skill in high risk OB-GYN and trauma one, not knowing that she was about to go through some, can you say process? Type process in the chat if you understand that everything that we experience and endure in life has to go through a process. And as we go through that process, we become the person that we are in the process of becoming. Nothing happens overnight. You're talking about an individual that has committed her life to accomplishing everything that is in her, being pulled out to actually save the lives of so many people, transform the lives of so many people, going in a route of alternative medicine. So you're talking about somebody that was going one route, knew what they were doing, knew what they wanted, and somehow, some way ended up in the right space in the right place to change the lives of so many just by pivoting. You're talking about an individual who has an illustrious career. Oh my goodness. When I saw everything, I was like, okay, top doctor status, 2010 to 2016, honored with Patient's Choice Award as Best OB-GYN. You're talking about someone who was also named Top Doctor of the Year in 2016, Humanitarian of the Year in 2017. You're talking about a Woman of the Year by the International Association of Top Professionals in 2018 in an international best-selling book. We're talking about somebody who's also notably, she was introduced to the Hall of Fame. Oh my goodness. When I got to seeing all of this, I said, I am overwhelmed by the fact that I get to be in the same Zoom room as this person. If you in the room, type in the room in the chat, because you are in the room today with a person who is so consistent that she can't be seen as anything other than. This is a woman who has committed her life to being on a journey, and the actual testimony and the testament to everything she has done can be seen in the fruit of her labor. Fruit, when I say it, means full, results understood in time. Fruit. And her fruit was so good to eat that it has constantly been producing year after year, season after season. The person that I am talking about is none other than the paradigm shifting, perspective providing, fruitful yielding Dr. Shanoz Rustamova. Can we get some applause in here in the chat? It's Dr. Rustamova. I got some applause.
Wow, Jared. Wow. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful introduction. I'm like, is that really me? But thank you. But you know what? I really love the way you said process. This is exactly what it is. It's a process. You were never going to be done, and it's never going to end while you're in this body. You came to this world to live in this body, so you have to learn how to nourish it and understand. And it's a process. And you will go through some pain, but then finally you will get it. So that's the process. It's a beautifully put. Thank you, Jared. Yeah. I was just listening to you guys in the prior sessions, and it is amazing how much information you guys are receiving. It's really, really I've, I'm really happy for Angelina, who everybody knows now her story, what she had to go through, and how she's able to really deliver to you guys literally on the plate. All you have to do is just follow the instruction and you'll be fine. Amazing. Thank you for having me today. Yes, yes, enjoy every morsel of that information that she's giving you.
Dr. Samoa, I'm so excited for you to come to this room and share your wisdom with everyone here. And you know, during the challenge, we went through the process and we covered a lot, right? And I just recapped, you know, what was the day 1 and day 2 and day 3. It was a lot of information, and also was a lot of learning curve and actually application, because we were giving the homework to do every single day and start implementing those little steps in our health. But now I've also been telling people, like, you are coming on day 4 and you will be bringing your wisdom and your knowledge and actually talk to us from the medical perspective, because it's, you know, it's all important. You know, one thing that they hear that from the coach and from the thriver and from the person who did that and who went through all the road, but now I wanted them to hear that from someone like you, a medical professional, a medical doctor with all the degrees. So my first question to you is, and we talked about nutrition and we talked the why nutrition is so important, but can you today uncover why nutritional deficiency, like how nutritional deficiency impact our cellular health from the medical perspective?
Right. So just think about it. Why the first thing that we do when we come to this live, we scream and we receive a bottle or a breast. Nutrition is important. Why? Because it supports life. It supports all your lively function in your body. And there's a lot of very important points, but at least I can boil it down to 4 at least of them. And the first one, I would say, to keep your cell, because all of you are talking about cellular rejuvenation, cellular level, but that cell has to stay intact and healthy. So to keep that wall of the cell intact and healthy and functional, it's important to have certain nutritions. For example, fats, good fats, and we call cholesterol. When we say cholesterol, immediately we go, oh my God, she has high cholesterol. Oh my goodness, she's going to have a heart attack. But not a lot of people do not understand the importance of cholesterol. There is a good cholesterol and there's a bad cholesterol. What is it? So we need to understand that as well. So that's factor number 1, the most important pillar, the wall, correct? Factor number 2 is it's the actual nutrition, your vitamins, elements, electrolytes that actually play a major role. For example, vitamins play a role in your feeding your cell, creating certain, they are like a catalyst for chemical reactions.
Your electrolytes, that's what we call them electrolytes, because they play role in electric communication between certain parts of the cells. Without potassium, without sodium, without magnesium, without any other zinc and other small elements, your cell is not going to function. They're very important key component. Number 3 is genetics. And I'm not talking about, oh, you have that, you're doomed, you have that gene, if it's activated, you're going to end up with that disease. Absolutely not. I'm talking about understanding your genetics, understanding and knowing your genetics. So you would play with that, because gene, I heard you were talking about gene being not your property. I mean, not your destiny, because it is not your destiny. It's your property that you can actually master, turn on and turn off when you need it. So in order for you to know how this machine works, you need to be that master and understand what's under the hood of that machine, which is your genetics, right? So that's another factor. And then I would say another 4th factor, which is also important when people start taking action, they go for detoxification, or sometimes they don't even go for detoxification. Our body has a mechanism of detoxifying itself. It's just because we do not understand that mechanism, we do not help that mechanism, and sometimes our job is to promote that mechanism with food, clean food. And if we don't do that, or vitamins, if we don't do that, then we re-intoxicate ourselves if we try to detoxify, or we do not detoxify ourselves. And guess what happens? The trash, that waste material that your body produces, not your body, but your cell, we're talking on the cellular level, produces, gets collected in the cell. And guess what happens? Inflammation. And guess what happens? From inflammation, tissue inflammation, organ inflammation, and then next you know, you have a diagnosis. I have a thyroid problem, I have a diabetes, I have autoimmune disease, I can't sleep, I'm this, I'm that, I have hormonal imbalance, I can't lose weight. But it's all coming from, again, going back to the same thing, cellular health, proper detoxification of cellular health. So with the first one, the cholesterol, I could talk about this for hours and hours. And, for those who already on the program and going to sign up for the program, they will understand that very well and will be able to read their own cholesterol panel. We're going to talk about this later on as well. I'm going to give you some information about that, but that will help you to assess how well your cells are functioning. For example, bad cholesterol. You know what bad cholesterol is? So imagine if you have a cell, and cell has a wall, and wall made of cholesterol. Something happens with that cell. Inflammation happens. It bursts that cell. Cell gets destroyed. Those particles of the cell, the wall, cell wall, floating in space of your bloodstream, little particles. And when your doctor checks your cholesterol, they say, well, your cholesterol is elevated. Why? Because these particles, broken particles, parts of your cell wall that is dead due to inflammation, is floating around. And then you have a good cholesterol that comes in, collects all that junk, brings it back to your liver, recycles that, and turns into good cholesterol so your body can use to rebuild or build a new cell. That process called rejuvenation. That's how important to have this component called cholesterol. Okay?
How many of you guys knew that? Put in a chat me. How many guys, let me ask you this. How many guys thought that cholesterol is only bad? If you have this limiting belief about that cholesterol is bad, put me in the chat, because what Dr. Samore is uncovering for us right now is why nutrition and having a good fats in our diet from the nutritional perspective is so important, because it functioned the way that she just described. Sorry, Dr. Samore, but let's go ahead.
That's exactly what it is. I'm sure a lot of you went to doctor. Who went to doctor and doctor said your cholesterol is elevated? I'm assuming all of you, because that's part of life. It's part of aging. Elevated cholesterol. Even if you're 25-year-old, if your cholesterol is slightly elevated, it's a sign of cellular destruction. Okay, imagine the spaceship that was destroyed by a comet floating around. The particles of that ship is floating around and nobody's picking it up. And then another ship, and then another ship. The whole space is full of all these particles floating around, and we're polluting it, right? Same thing happens with our bloodstream. But then imagine if you have a ship that collects all of that, brings it to the factory, and creates a new ship and lets it out. So that is the circulation of cholesterol. Now let's talk about vitamins.
Can I ask you a question regarding the vitamins? Because there is a belief, Shanos, and many doctors believe that vitamins are not important, right? So when you're going to be talking about vitamins, can you cover that? Can you go through this?
Yeah. Well, vitamins are not important, but then let's look at the name. Vitamins. They come from vita, life. They're vital for us. So we spoke about the wall of the cell. Now let's go inside of the cell. Inside of your cell, if you make yourself very tiny and walk into your cell, and I'm going to guide you right now, you're going to look on your left, you're going to look the machine that is creating and digesting protein, making protein. On your left, you have a machine that is digesting your glucose. And if you go further, you will see the center point where you have all the information, all the computers that it's written down. We call it its nucleus. All these machines, while they're creating this chemical reaction, they need, we call them catalysts, meaning without that particular particle, substance, vitamin, this reaction, that machine is not going to be able to perform. These particles are vitamins. That's the role of the vitamin. We call them catalysts. Okay? So I don't know if you guys heard or seen someone saying, oh, well, you take vitamins and you make expensive urine. That's all it is. I'm sure you heard that. Did you hear that?
Yes, we heard that. Can you explain where is it coming from? Where is this limiting belief is coming from?
It's not, it's in some cases it's actually true, and I'll tell you why. We're going to talk about this. But this is all coming from misunderstanding the actual biochemistry of the cell. It's coming, and unfortunately it's coming sometimes, a lot of times, from my fellow doctors, unfortunately. Okay? But it's just the way it is. In order for these vitamins to work, they need to be taken into the cell. So if you are ingesting the vitamin, number one, it could be bad brand. You just don't have a good brand. It's important to have reputable, good brands. And today we don't have good studies to show that this particular brand is better, that particular brand is worse. We don't have it. 20 years ago, they did a study. They took all the vitamins from the shelves, and we're talking like Walmart, all these like regular public places where regular people like you and I, we go shopping. And they found these vitamins, they checked them, and 75% of these vitamins on the shelf did not have what they claim that they have. Did not. Yes, you heard it right. And it's not because people are evil who are making these vitamins. It's because to create a good vitamin, you really have to repeat the action of nature, and it's not that easy. To create this vitamin, you have to make that formula so it could penetrate into the cell. And it's not just the vitamin that penetrates. You need to have transporting systems. And in order to do that, you as an individual, as a person, you have to have these transporting systems that govern by your genetics. So for example, the vitamin that works for me, regular B complex vitamin works for me, may not be working for Janet because she may be carrying something, or for Angelina, she may be carrying some gene that needs specific transporting formula. So that's why it's important to understand picking vitamins. It's important based on, first of all, your research. You have to read about it. Second, understanding your genetics, understanding your body type. Okay. And also understanding how this vitamin works, because in order for you to have, let's say, vitamin D absorption, you need to have good fats. In order for you to have calcium absorption, you have to have vitamin D and magnesium. So you can't just take one vitamin. So then it gets really, really confusing and people just give up. Tell me if you guys had this situation where you just had to, you know what? I'm not going to take these vitamins. I spend so much money and nothing is happening. Right? Have you had that?
Yes, all the
I had
time.
it myself. That's how I had to go and dig deep and came to this conclusion that there's a vitamin and there is a vitamin. Okay. Did I answer the question?
Wow, what Dr. Simone just uncovering for how many of you guys heard that before? You know, the whole process, right? And how she's like simplifies everything and she's just, put it together for us. You know, why nutrition is so important, why vitamins are so important, how to choose right vitamins, right? And how it's just mind-blowing. So thank you for that, Dr. Stamova. My next question to you, like, and because we talked a lot about testing. We talked a lot about testing. I mean, what is how when we talked on the day 2 about the cellular health and we unpacked the inflammation and we uncovered the same thing that you just talked about the cellular membrane and how it could be damaged, so the good stuff cannot get in and good stuff go out. And then we had hormone problems and they know about the hormones. And like so why I'm leading into that is when you don't go to a doctor, and we talked about how blood is important, and when you go to your regular doctor and you do all your blood work, and then the blood work come back and everything is normal, everything is in check, but you're still feeling all the symptoms, like have you guys ever experienced that before you go to the doctor, but you still you're like in fatigue, you don't have energy, you cannot lose weight, that your hormones are unbalanced. I mean, you're so stressed out, right? There's so many, maybe you have some aches in your body. So why is this happening and your blood work says you are fine?
Yeah. Again, we're going back to the same idea of a body, your tissue, the body type, and cellular level, cellular health. First of all, we all sitting here and all of us we individuals, our fingerprint are different. Okay. Your physical fingerprint, your soul fingerprint is different. It's all encoded in your DNA, and your DNA creates your genes. So you're carrying the genes of your ancestors. And if you're not eating according to that body type of yours, you're not going to absorb properly. For example, that's why we have all these blood type of diets, or Ayurveda, for example, Chinese medicine. They divide human bodies into 4, 5, 6 types. And they say that you have to eat according to your body type, according to your blood type, and so forth. It's all coming from the same thing. If you really look deeper, it's coming from that gene pool in each of us have. And unfortunately, when we do the blood test, we just check at the parameters that from the modern medicine standpoint, it's just to make sure that you're not dying or you don't have a diagnosis already. But way before you have a diagnosis, there's so many other processes that's happening. In other words, modern medicine gives you answer what happened already. But there are ways to look what is happening so you can reverse that. What do I mean by that? For example, if someone is feeling fatigue, like you said, you're feeling tired, you go to doctor, they check your blood test, and they said, you have all the symptoms of, let's say, low thyroid. For example, you gain weight, you feel lethargic, your bowel movements are not regular, all these things, you're losing hair, all these things. They check your thyroid, and doctor says your thyroid is normal. But there's one factor that it's usually not checked. For example, one of the examples, vitamin D. Because vitamin D is a helper of the thyroid. Way before thyroid gives up, way before she starts showing her problems, vitamin D stays long enough on the lower levels. And I always give analogy. For example, let's say thyroid is a manager of the office, and vitamin D is her or his assistant. Imagine if your assistant like it comes late, doesn't perform, doesn't show up, but the work has to be done. What do? You do it yourself, and you do it yourself day after day, month after month. I'm sure you had this situation in your life when you had to put lots of things on your shoulder and carry it on your shoulders. But then at some point you say, I can't do this anymore. I need a vacation. And then higher up said, no, you can't have a vacation because your assistant is not here. Someone has to run the office. You're staying. So you're staying to run this office exhausted. That's what happens with vitamin D deficiency. That's what happens with thyroid that lives in the environment of nutritional deficiency. You see? And then you have all these symptoms of hyperthyroid, but the lab is normal. And the doctor says, nothing is wrong with you. I don't have to give you anything. Go home, exercise, eat healthy, goodbye.
It's in a better case if the doctor will cover that and will say, go exercise and just, live your healthy lifestyle. They'll just, send you home without any recommendation. No.
Either that, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Right. So
and just that little factor of D could just change everything.
Yeah, yeah. How do we address that? How do we address, how we can see, how we can detect, how we can prevent this from happening? Because you just said that modern medicine looking into what already happened with us when we're already so inflamed and so like diseaseful, and it's already taking all this, and just like a ball, like a snowball. So, and you're feeling the way that you're feeling. How we can prevent that? What are the modalities?
As you're asking this question, you know what came to me? Know thyself. Literally. You have to take initiative. You have to take responsibility for your own body and understand how your machine, beautiful, miraculous machine, made by power, somehow it's made and it's so perfect. If you understand how oiled this machine, then it's going to be great. It's going to work. You just have to know signs, symptoms, know how to assess that, know what to look for. That's important. And I'm not talking about being like a hypochondriac and looking for problems. No, no, no. Just like with your car, if you hear something, what you do, you either look yourself or you take it to mechanic. It's the same thing. And then oil it and then prolong the longevity of your apparatus, which is your body. So knowledge is number one. And number two, once you have that knowledge, proper assessment, having a proper testing, and then looking at this from different angle, not from the standard medical angle. And again, I'm working active duty surgeon, doctor, and I'm part of that community. And I take full responsibility for that. But I know that we are not doing our job. I know that. And hopefully it's going to change soon. But meanwhile, you patients have to take responsibility and get educated.
Wow. Wow. What are we hearing here, guys? I mean, we hear that from the medical doctor, from the surgeon on duties, and she tells that you guys, we all have to take responsibility for our health. Like if you have, and what you just brought up, like the machine, if something happens with your machine, like let's say that
your dishwasher at home, right? So what like if it's not working, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna call your, technical mechanic, or like a someone who can assess what's happening with the machine because it's not working, right? Because the whole household is gonna struggle, right? How many of you guys will do that? But how many of you guys will take responsibility what's happening in your body? So more often time we prioritize the machine, right, than our own body. So thanks for bringing this up, Dr. Samova. When we go and you just uncover, so basically we need the proper testing. Can you uncover more? What do you mean by that? The proper
Well,
testing?
there's a bunch of testing that you could do. First of all, we always start with screening. It's always good to know, like whatever you do in your house and renovation, you always look at the glance at the whole picture first, right? You need to assess the degree of that inflammation, that junk collection that we have, or cellular destruction that we have in our body. Okay, so there is a way to do that. We call it screening assessment, just to see the degree of the inflammation. But once you have that, then you need to take action. But how are you going to take action without knowing what's causing it? You need to know the reason. You need to know root cause of that, right? So in that case, you need to have in-depth, comprehensive blood analysis where you could look at your parameters from the standpoint of nutritional deficiencies, lifestyle deficiencies, and your epigenetics. Epigenetics is the most important thing as well in the whole process. Like I said, we're all different. We are all different. We're all humans, but we do have different information in our DNAs. The way we digest food, the way we digest information, the way we digest our emotions, it's all different for everyone. So that's why it's important as well.
Yeah, yeah. Let me ask you this now. How come that when we talk about the diet, right? So, and some diets work for some people, and the same thing with the treatments, and sometimes do not work for some people. And I know you talked about, the genetics and how detecting, actually testing for that is very important. But can you just, a little bit more uncover that? So how, like, having a one size fits all solution, does not work, right? So, like, I just want to hear that from the medical doctor.
Again, it doesn't work because, like I said, genetics, and plus, when you check your genetics, it will give you the roadmap how your cells are operating. You see, we're going back to the same thing again, going back to our cells. Cell is the smallest, but the only thing that it's actually, I would say, the only unit that carries all the information about you, your abilities, your strength, and also your weaknesses. So you have to go inside of cell, and go back and detoxify proper way. But in order to do that, you need to assess that first. Did I answer your question?
You did, yes. Yeah. So we need to really focus on the proper testing and assessment, right?
But
And
on the cellular level.
cellular level, yeah. So, and what I'm hearing from you, that it's a specific testing for inflammation, right? For inflammatory markers, right? So that we have in the body, and also looking for the root cause, right? So testing that will uncover the root cause, why the inflammation is happening inside of our cell.
Exactly. The root cause is the most important thing, because once you know what is it all coming from, this is how you're going to fix it. Otherwise, how are you going to take action?
Yeah. And
And
how we do that? I mean, what is this? What is this? Can you like uncover?
I will give you example. I will give you just a little example. For example, again, we're going to go back to genetics, right? You could check, for example, let's say I have patients who take vitamins and they come to me and say, I took this vitamin, it doesn't work. Again, number one, is the dosage okay? Like the dosage that you're taking is okay? What is the level of your vitamin in your body, that particular vitamin? And then when you look at the actual vitamin parameters, and I do have some explanation in our program, those who join, they know. how to read your own levels, because if you look at the range for, let's say, vitamin B12, the norm is between 200 and 1200. Look at the range, guys. Would you rather have $200 in your pocket or $1,200 in your pocket? No brainer, correct? So you want to have optimal level. Fine. Then patients come and say, I'm taking this vitamin. My level is, let's say, 1200. I am still not feeling the same. Now, question, is this vitamin that you take is really going inside of the cell? Is transporting systems are working and taking it there? Or it's going straight to your kidneys and turning into expensive urine? So in that case, you need to be tested for specific gene. For example, MTHFR gene. There's many genes, but for example, there's a transporting system that responsible to bring the nutrient into the cell. Imagine that vehicle brings in the cell, dumps the nutrient inside the cell, because imagine you're going in the cell, it's like the factory creating. So they need material, they need resources. So that vehicle is bringing and dumping it there. But while they're also creating waste. So the same vehicle takes that dumpster and brings it out for recycling or wasting it and bringing it into your colon. That mechanism governed by your genes, specific gene. And if you're carrying that gene, which is very common, by the way, when I was in medical school, they said it's only 7% of population carry that gene. As I started practicing, I have more than 7%. I'd say maybe 40%. A lot of my patients carry it.
So what I'm hearing from you, that really genetic testing is, at the root of, the testing for root cause. So, we really need to drill down and see for the whole factors, including the genetic testing, the hormonal testing. So it's a very extensive, type of testing that, people need to perform in order to do the cellular assessment on top of the additional tests that can detect the level of their cellular inflammation, right? So there is, like a very comprehensive approach to that.
Besides that, also, remember I was talking about dumpster being rolled out of the cell? You have to have another vehicle that actually gets that cell and takes it to destination. So that's another transporting system. For example, vitamins, we call them binders. There are specific vitamins binders that should play a role. Otherwise, the dumpster just be left there and float around. And then we call this recycling or detoxification. And the same dumpster can go back inside of the cell again.
How many of you guys remember, we talked yesterday about the bucket that we have inside of our body, right? That at this bucket is, how many of you guys remember that? Put me in a chat if you remember that we talked yesterday about the bucket. And what happens with this bucket, that it just overflows with all the toxins, right? So that we get from the environment, from the food chain, from the water we drink. And once it overflows, then you guys start to experience all those symptoms. So what Dr. Stamov is teaching us today is that there are specific binders that we can get a help of to remove this waste from our body, right? And it comes in the form of supplementation, right? The specific supplementation and vitamins, right?
Yeah.
And Dr. Samova, you touched on the, how the lifestyle, and yesterday actually, and all this day we covered that genetics in only 10%. And I told them that you will confirm that the genetics is only 10%, the 90% is the lifestyle. So can you explore just a little bit more about, the lifestyle and the stressors and how they all affect our cellular health and what we can do? So, because yesterday we uncovered the cellular rejuvenation method. So that's the method that we are using in our program, right? So can you just cover that from the medical perspective?
So just remember, I was talking about these transporting systems. And imagine in your body is the factory, constantly factory, nonstop working, producing and removing. Imagine this, what is happening inside of you. And you have these transporting systems that removing the waste, bringing nutrients, removing the waste, bringing nutrients. Everything is working in healthy body. Everything is working in the rhythm, in the unison, and everything is okay. And you have, let's say, traffic control, and everything is under control. All right, so that's healthy, functioning body. But then your boss yelled at you. Then you checked your bank account. Then something else happened. Something happened. Boom, it triggers. And all of a sudden, you start feeling either fear, anger, whatever it is. And as you start feeling, your brain starts producing certain neurotransmitters. And those neurotransmitters sending signal to your brain saying, I'm in danger. I need to save, we need to save life. We need to save our life quickly right now, because your body doesn't understand that yelling boss, it's not the same thing as jumping tiger on you. Body reads the same neurotransmitter. You are triggering your fight or flight phenomena. Are you guys familiar with fight or flight phenomena?
Yes. How many of you guys are familiar with the flight and fight mode? Put me in the chat if you are. How many of you guys here are familiar with that concept? All right. Yes, we got some.
Basically, it's it's our physiology. Back in the days when we used to live in caves, life was easy. We had two problems. How many problems you have in your life today?
Ooh.
More than two. We live in a modern world, correct?
Modern problems, yes.
Exactly. Back in the days, we had only two problems. Find something to eat and not to get eaten. That's it. Okay? And that's how humanity evolved. So when we were walking around jungle or whatever we were all alert, looking for possible food to get that and bring it to my tribe, or for possible threat to make sure that I'm connected. So in order for us to have that, we had to develop mechanism in our brain and evolve. So our DNA is perfect. Human that walking planet Earth today has perfect mechanism of fight or flight for that reason. Those who could not develop that mechanism got eaten by tigers. Done, they gone. We are selected ones. Okay? So that means we're survivors. But they did not teach us how to, evolution didn't teach us how to use that survival mechanism. And we're using it without thinking about it. But
So
the same physiology is triggered. Same neurotransmitters are triggered.
And what happens, because as you just explained, right? So in an ancient, right? So, I mean, we have this protective mechanism, otherwise we're going to be eaten. So what happens now? How not having this protective mechanism is actually impact our body?
Well, that's why we have so much inflammation. Cortisol. The cortisol is the main general of the army, comes out, it gets the signal first. Comes out and goes, okay, guys, we are about to be eaten by a tiger. Reproductive system, which is your hormonal system, your testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, not important, shut down. GI system, which is your gastrointestinal, your food digestion, and all that is not important, shut down. As a result, you either have heartburn, you have GERD, you have constipation, you have diarrhea, you have inflammation, you have IBS. It's because general said shut down, we're not important. Then immune system is not important, shut down. And we get common colds, we get all these other things. Cortisol is a ruler. He is responsible for basically like a FEMA of the body. It's responsible for disasters, like disaster relief. And imagine if you are, every time when you produce emotion, you produce cortisol, the cortisol comes out and says the same thing, And as a result, everything shuts down. That factory in a beautiful, someone said homeostasis. Yes, homeostasis, balanced, beautiful factory in your body shut down. So that part is not working anymore. And then they all start working again, shut down, shut down, shut down. Imagine having all these sirens going on during the day in your body. You watch TV, you talk to your friend, boss yelled at you, your kid is not listening to you, your bank account is not the way you want it. It doesn't matter what it is. Someone cuts you off. Shut down, shut down, shut down. And as a result, inflammation, because the factory shut down. So that's how we create our own problems, to be honest. But then once you know that, then you can learn how to keep your body in balance. And that's why we call them cortisol decreasing activities. And that is the part of our program. And yet you're right, 90% of our disease is actually coming from this state. I have patients who take tons of vitamins, but until they address that part, nothing would work. It's just the way it is.
What are you guys are hearing here? Whoa, what we just uncovered, right? So the science of, all those stressors behind it. And what, I mean, it's really, what Dr. Stamori is saying is that if you eat right? So, I mean, let's say that you got your diet under control, your nutrition under control. It's not enough, okay? And this is why you need to understand that, the whole steps, right? And this is what we uncovered each day. And we started, with mindset, right? And then, we moved into the, like the cell health and nutrition. And, today we're talking about supplementation, right? And then we're talking, and today we're talking about the stress and stress management, right? And Shanos, can you just like kind of get a teaser, because in VIP session today, I'm so excited about it because it's going to be the practical session, guys. Practical session. By the way, you still have a chance to upgrade for that. But what are we going to do in our VIP session today?
Well, before I'm going to start with a comment from, I think it was Martin. Yeah, Martin wrote that cortisol is, steroidal hormone that is adrenal gland produced by adrenal, helps body to respond to stress and danger, and regulating metabolism, controlling your blood pressure, reducing inflammation, increasing blood sugar, enhancing your brain use of glucose, making substances available to repair tissues, and slowing non-essential or harmful functions during fight or flight response. That's what we're going to be addressing. That's my answer.
Yes.
We're going to be addressing that, and I'm going to be giving you tools how to address this and eliminate, or at least mitigate, these problems.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's going to be a practical session. It's going to be a practical session. And actually, we host those sessions in the on-site locations. And Dr. Rustamova charges $300 just, for one session to do that. It's a very powerful session. So you guys still have a chance to upgrade and join us in the VIP 2 days. So Jared, thank you for dropping the link up here. And before we wrap up the session today, Dr. Samoa, can you give our audience the homework for today? Because each day we were giving some homework. So, in a day 1, and a day 2, and a day 3, what's going to be our homework today in a day 4 of the challenge with all the information that you provided to us here today? So what they can do?
Well, you guys, tell me if you had blood test or any kind of test, saliva test, or any kind of test in the past year.
How many of you guys have done any testing here in the past year? Drop in the chat me. Drop in the chat me. Any testing in the last year? Drop in the chat me.
So if you haven't done that in a year, 2 years, let's say.
2 years. 2 years.
Yeah.
Anyone else? I have 2 people, and we have so many people in the room. No. Okay, we have 1 no. So we have a person who haven't done the testing in 2 years. Who else? Guys, have you done any testing in the 2 years? Say me. Say me. Well, we have some people who haven't done testing in 2 years.
Yeah. So what I would suggest to go to find results of your tests and look what was done and how it's written. And most of the time, it's probably going to say that it's written normal. And I want you to do your own research first and have questions. Questions about what do you think of your test. As you see, like I said, all of us have to have responsibility and take action. So I want you to participate in your own health yourself. I want you to learn how to read your own charts. I'm not saying you're going to have to be treating yourself, but to understand the actual chart and your blood work. I really want you to look into what was tested, and was it really tested? Whatever we discussed today, was it even there?
Yeah, yeah. And
that would be step one for you guys to understand how important this assessment is and getting information.
This is so important what just Dr. Rustamov uncovered. So if you guys haven't done any blood work, any testing, so find someone who can do it, or book a call with us. And as I said yesterday, right? So we'll do the wholesaler assessment for you guys. Okay. And another thing that Doctor just uncovered with us is that she encourages everyone to be your own doctor. So once you learn about, and we uncovered, a lot of stuff, during the challenge, but imagine how much you can uncover by being coached by someone, like Dr. Stamova. So again, yesterday we talked about, for people who are jumping up into the program with us, you're going to be coached, by me and by Dr. Rustamova, and she's going to teach you how to become your own doctor, how to read your own results, your own blood results. How many of you guys want that? Put me in the chat. So I think it's a perfect time for takeaway at this point. And Jared, can you take over at this point?
I thought you would never ask. I've been holding myself back and being quiet, but let's go ahead and get some horns for Dr. Rustamova. Did you hear what you just heard? Did you really hear what she just said? I'm going to summarize some of this for you. I'm going to give you the Jared notes if you want to cheat off of my paper real quick. Number one of the things she stated was the fact that you have to be intentional about knowing yourself. And I translated that to sales. Know thyself or know thy sales. In order to understand yourself, you have to know, man, how am I feeling? How am I really feeling? Many of us move so fast on this rat race, we don't even take time to check in and recognize how we're really feeling. And then when we don't feel good, we run to somebody else to see if they can give us an answer that they probably aren't even going through the proper processes to provide us with the screening to even assess us appropriately. I genuinely believe limited perspective will always equal unlimited assumptions. However, an unlimited perspective will at the very least produce an accurate understanding. She just gave, oh my goodness, she did what Angelina did. She gave us the power to understand that we have power and someone else is not responsible for it. Also, she told us to be intentional about our meal, not meal just in food, but meal meaning your media intake, whether it be reading books or music you listen to or movies you're watching. What are you creating and what are you consuming as it pertains to what you're putting into your mind? Because that's where the stressors come from. Your environment plays a role. Who's around you and what's around you and what's surrounding you. Your attention, what are you focused on? Are you focused on things that are getting that amygdala to go into where you're functioning within high flight or fight mode? Or are you functioning within a way that you're actually controlling yourself, which she says she's going to give us some strategies, some techniques, some methodologies to actually go about doing that. Because I don't know about you, but anytime I get stressed, I definitely want to know how I can decompress. And then lastly, lifestyle. It literally comes down to who you are intentional about being and becoming. And if you know that you have the power and you know that you can become whom it is you are capable of becoming and you can take control, type me in the chat, because if you know you got the power, I got the power. If you know you got the power, then type me in the chat, because that's you. She just told you that you have exactly what you need. It's just other people are not telling you. So you're being robbed in the process of knowledge and understanding. And if you don't have wisdom, you can't walk wise. To be wise is to walk in simplicity every day. So if you know that you have the power, you know that's you, then listen, I hope that you understand that we are actually about to go into this place called the VIP room where we're going to get the practical steps. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just making you aware of your other option in power, and that is to take advantage of the opportunity to ask questions from a health professional without getting charged for it. Not only that, I would suggest you take advantage of literally this offer, because they told us that we get some extensive time to actually get involved in taking control of our lives, our health. Remember, time and life are synonymous because if you run out of one, you run out of the other. Time is not money. You run out of money, you can get some more. You run out of life, that's because you ran out of time. And that means it's game over. So if you want to get intentional about your life, you want to get intentional about your time, you want to get intentional about your meal, you want to get intentional about your vibe, your values, intentions, beliefs, and expectations as it pertains to what you are capable of doing. And you want to be in a room with individuals that's got the answers for you to be able to ask and achieve and receive, you deserve that. Uh, but listen, do we have any takeaways? Because I gave you my cheat sheet, my notes. But what do you have? Does anybody have any takeaways in here other than what I just said? Or you can just add value to what's already been provided? Because this was amazing. Oh, and don't be scared. Ain't no crazy responses in here, y'all. Martin looked like he got something. Let's see here.
Hi, excuse me. Hi, it's Holly. I think the biggest takeaway from this session today is that each and every one of us are responsible for our own life, livelihood, and experience in this world. And you can't, think, oh, I have this, and so I'm going to go to this person or that person or whatnot, but that we have to take, that we all have to take charge of who we are, and how we show up in the world, not only for other people, but most importantly for ourselves.
That's amazing. Hey,
The health,
that is
health and
amazing.
wellness perspective, and just in general.
Yeah. Amazing. Hey, let's give it up for Holly. Let's give it up for Holly. She always comes through with the takeaways on top of takeaways. The perspective is valuable. I mean, it boils down to this. Who's really in control? I mean, there are things we are not in control of, but there are things we are. But it's kind of like whenever you're put in a situation where someone wants you to think that you need to depend on them. Really, you don't. Not for everything. We are all codependent. I mean, I don't grow everything in my home. I don't take care of all of the infrastructures and building and all of that stuff. We need each other. However, there are things that are actually your responsibility, and somebody has told you that it wasn't. And then they've literally taken your perspective of them and put it at a higher pedestal as if you aren't capable of doing some of the things you're asking them to do. And then if they don't give you answers and they don't provide you with information, now you go into fight or flight mode because you're stuck still looking for what's right in front of you and it's inside of you, operating day to day. The systems that are operating systems are put in place to produce a predictable answer, a predictable outcome, saving yourself time, stress, and energy and money. That's what systems are. She just broke it down so well, so clear. I mean, look, if we don't have any more takeaways, tell you what, yesterday we were given some information that changed our situation. And with that information, we have access and opportunity to run. Like it's one thing and you're creeping forward and you thinking, you know what, should I don't, you're going back and forth, you're teeter-tottering. But one thing I know is whenever you're decisive, see, people who make decisive decisions, they don't hold back and hold up. They go ahead and they say yes and they figure it out. And in the process of saying yes and figuring it out, this is you saying, I am committed to becoming what it is that I have not become yet, but I have the ability to do so. See, she mentioned the caveman thing. I like to look at it from the perspective of a garden. And if you have all of these fruit in your garden, if you have an orchard in your body, you have so many different trees, fruits, vegetation, agriculture, all of that inside of you. The last thing you want to be doing is walk around with any of it rotting. So if you're unaware that you're rotting because no one told you and taught you how to look at yourself and view yourself appropriately, you're not only walking around rotting with fruit inside of you, but you're also being unintentional and unproductive and you don't even know it. Well, if Angelina said, I can free you from that, I can provide you with help for that. If that would be helpful, that would be useful. Listen, no pressure, but just letting you know some of the answers that you are looking for on the other side of the person you have yet to decide to become. And if you want to be the person that can do the thing, and then after you do it, you have the results, the fruit of that person's labor. And then you can't give what you don't have. So now you give according to what you have, and then you receive in response to that according to the law of reciprocity, reaping and sowing. Guess what? If we don't like what we're receiving, we got to check what we are given. If you don't like what you're given, you got to look at what you have. And if you don't like what you have, you got to look at what you're doing. And if you're not happy with what you're doing, you got to get in the mirror because the man or woman that you have become is responsible for it all. Aren't you responsible for becoming more than where you're at right now? If you're in this room, you got questions and somebody got answers. Why wouldn't you raise your hand? Why wouldn't you go into the room? Why wouldn't you take advantage of what's being offered to you? Because it's your right and your responsibility. And as I stated earlier, as well as they said, you have the power and you have the opportunity, you have the ownership, you have the resources, and that resource is called time. The question is, how much of it do you have? She made us aware that we actually have a bonus session coming up. You know, it was a 4 day, but got a bonus session coming up. And that bonus session is going to be on Monday, correct, Angelina?
Yes, yes. So we are hosting a bonus session on Monday. And in this bonus session, we're gonna, basically take everything that we talked in all this 4 day, and we're gonna put it together. And there was more coming because yesterday, when Ed was in a day 3, I gave you guys the quiz and we did the pre-assessment of our cellular health, right? And the primary issues for everyone was stress. So on Monday, also, I'm going to be doing, on top of this extra session, I'm going to be doing another coaching session for you. So you guys know how to take control of your stress in your life. But this is by invitation only. So if you want to be in that session, so we're running the bonus session on Monday, Jared. Yes, you're right. There is additional session on Monday. And if you want to be the part of that additional session about me coaching you on how to get a hold of your stressors in your life, then send me a text, send me an email. It's going to be by invitation only, and you're going to be in that session on Monday.
Yeah, and she gave us not only that, but she made us aware that there is a time limit. There's a time limit on this offer because the time that we have is now. Like I said yesterday, it's always now o'clock. Now stands for no opportunity wasted. And because it's always now o'clock, the power is in your hands. And based off of your past, meaning your power, ability, skill, and time that you have developed based on the fruit that you have produced, based off of the person that you become to be you, guess what? No tree eats of its own fruit. So you're fruitful and you're useful and you're productive, but are you being intentional about it? Knowing that you have the opportunity in front of you to take your power, put it to use, and produce exactly what you are capable of, what you deserve, what you acquire, what you desire, what you require. Listen, I don't think that you are here with no intention, especially if you stayed here for the whole hour. So just knowing that, listen, there's an offer, there's an opportunity. I'm going to actually drop this link right now because I don't believe that I can tell you anything that you don't already know. No pressure. If it's for you, great. If it's not for you, it's okay. Just make sure you walk away with everything you need today so that you can go do exactly what it is that you can. But remember, Angelina, you said it's taking you over about 10 years just to acquire a lot of this information and knowledge. And Dr. Rustamova, I mean, come on now. She's a doctor. She didn't get that doctorate overnight and she didn't maintain the knowledge base that she has. And then she didn't move into the alternative realm that she moved into by literally just a couple of days. It took time. And one thing that we always want to make sure we do is leverage. Say leverage in the chat if you're with me. Let's say you got time. Okay, great. You got time, but why are you doing everything? You don't have to do everything, and especially by yourself. Yes, because that leverage that, listen, it's cool to be able to take pride in cutting your yard, getting the grass cut or whatever. It's cool. It's cool to take pride in sitting down and cutting your own hair if you do that. Okay, that's cool. But it feels even better? Sitting back, relaxing, sipping on some lemonade while somebody else is cutting that grass. See, now you don't have to get stinky. And for me, I love it because I got 3 little ones. So I get to invest time, not spend it. I get to invest time with my family while someone else is helping me to do something that needs to get done. I help them, they help me, and it's a give and receive, literally responsibility, and it's appreciated. Well, someone is going to sit down and give you time so you can invest your time into yourself and you get to be more intentional about your health, which is really your wealth. Oh my goodness. Time. And I believe that time that you have is up until Friday, 11:59 p.m. Is that it, Angelina?
Jared, what's the question again?
They have until Friday,
Yes, yes.
11:59 p.m.
Next Friday, until next Friday.
next Friday. Okay. Yeah, so you have until next Friday to take advantage of this right here, to invest your time, to take your time and take your life to the next level. And guess what? Nobody's responsible for your life but you. How intentional are you willing to be about it? You got this no matter what route you go. But just know, being intentional is literally the main ingredient. How intentional are we willing to be? Angelina?
That was so good, Jared. Yeah. So let's be intentional about our time. This is powerful about our health because health is wealth. And we'll see you guys in the VIP session just in 2 minutes. So see you all, guys. Thank you.